Colonel Zander Blackwood peered through his binoculars at the smoldering ruins of what used to be New Phoenix. The city had been beautiful once, a shining jewel of human perseverance in the harsh Arizona desert. Now it was nothing more than a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered dreams. "Sir, the cracks the dropships are incoming." ETA 3 minutes, Lieutenant Econ Okafor reported, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his shoulders. Zander lowered the binoculars and turned to face his team. 5 men, all that remained of the once proud 7th Rangers. They were battered, exhausted, and running on nothing but stims and sheer determination. But in their eyes, Zander saw an unquenchable fire. The same fire that had driven humanity to the stars, and the same fire that would see them through this hellish invasion. "All right, boys, you know the drill. Scorched Earth protocol is in effect. Nothing for those bastards to salvage. You hear me?" Zander's voice was grim but resolute. Corporal Ryland Ripper Maddox grinned, a wild light in his eyes as he hefted his flamethrower. "With pleasure, sir. I've been itching to barbecue some cracks thy ass." The team spread out, each man taking a sector of the ruins. They had mere minutes to ensure that anything of value was destroyed before the aliens landed. It wasn't just about denying resources to the enemy anymore. This was about sending a message humanity would not go quietly into the night. As Zander planted demolition charges in what remained of a research facility, his mind wandered to the day the cracks arrived. They came not with a message of peace, but with an ultimatum: submit or be eradicated. Humanity, in its infinite wisdom and stubbornness, chose a third option: resist. The first months of the war had been a slaughter. The Craxia's technology was centuries beyond Earth's most advanced weaponry, but humans, as they often do, adapted. They learned to fight dirty, to use the very planet as a weapon against the invaders. A distant explosion snapped Zander back to the present. He keyed his comm. "Report." "Sorry, sir," came the sheepish voice of Private Jasper Boom Boom Reeves. "Got a little trigger happy with the D-cord. But hey, at least that cracks the comm relay is toast." Zander allowed himself a small smile. Jasper's enthusiasm was infectious, even in the duress of circumstances. "Just try not to blow yourself up, Boom Boom. We're running short on medics as it is." The whine of alien engines grew louder. Zander glanced at his watch. They were out of time. "Fall back to extraction point, Charlie," he ordered, already sprinting towards the rendezvous. The pounding of boots behind him told him his team was right on his heels. They reached the battered Humvee just as the first cracks thy dropship touched down. Sergeant Dante Cruz was already behind the wheel, the engine rumbling impatiently. "Cutting it a bit close. Aren't we?" Dante quipped as the team piled in. "You know me, Dante." "I like to live dangerously," Zander replied, slamming the door shut. "Now, floor it." The Humvee lurched forward, tires squealing as Dante navigated the debris-strewn streets. In the rearview mirror, Zander could see the hulking forms of cracks the warriors emerging from their ships. The aliens stood nearly 10 feet tall, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming in the harsh desert sun. "Sir, incoming transmission from Command," Kekon reported, his fingers flying over a battered laptop. A grainy hologram flickered to life on the Humvee's dashboard. The weary face of General Axel Ironside, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, materialized. "Colonel Blackwood," report the general's gravelly voice filled the vehicle. "Scorched Earth protocol executed successfully, sir. New Phoenix is a total loss to the enemy." General Ironside nodded, a grim satisfaction in his eyes. "Good work, Colonel. But I'm afraid I have new orders for you and your team. We're initiating Operation Wildfire." A hushed silence fell over the Humvee. Operation Wildfire was the last resort, a desperate gambit that even the most hawkish generals had been hesitant to green light. "Sir, are you sure?" Zander asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm afraid we're out of options, son. The cracks have broken through our last line of defense in Europe. If we don't act now, there won't be an Earth left to save." Zander exchanged looks with his team. They all knew what Operation Wildfire entailed. It was madness, but then again, so was this entire war. "We'll get it done," Sir Zander said, his resolve hardening. "I know you will, Colonel." Godspeed. The hologram flickered out. For a moment, the only sound was the rumble of the engine, and the distant explosions as their demolition charges continued to detonate. So Ryland broke the silence. We're really going to do it. We're going to set the atmosphere on fire. Zander nodded. That's the plan. Use the HFY's own terraforming technology against them. Turn Earth's atmosphere into a raging inferno. But Sir Jasper interjected, won't that kill, well, everything? Not everything, Econ explained. The bunkers were built for this contingency. Enough of humanity will survive underground to rebuild. Eventually. Dante let out a low whistle. Talk about scorched earth. We're taking it to a whole new level. Zander leaned back in his seat, watching the desolate landscape roll by. This was it, humanity's last stand. They would burn their own world to ash rather than let it fall into alien hands. It was insane, it was desperate, and it was so utterly, unmistakably human. You know, he mused, my great-grandfather used to tell me stories about the old wars. About how humans would fight tooth and nail for every inch of ground. I never truly understood until now. The team fell silent, each man lost in his own thoughts as they sped towards their rendezvous with destiny. Hours later, they stood atop a mesa, watching as the sky began to burn. The HFY terraforming stations, hijacked and repurposed, pumped superheated plasma into the atmosphere. Clouds ignited, the wind itself became a torrent of flame. As the wall of fire rushed towards them, Zander turned to his team. These men, his brothers in arms, who had followed him into hell and back. It's been an honor, gentlemen, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Ryland clapped him on the shoulder. The honor's been ours, Colonel. Econ nodded solemnly. For Earth. For humanity, Dante added. Jasper, his usual exuberance subdued, simply said, See you on the other side, sir. As one, they turned to face the oncoming inferno. In the distance, Zander could see the HFY ships desperately trying to escape the planet they had sought to conquer. But it was too late. Earth's atmosphere had become a death trap, a final, defiant act of a species that refused to go quietly into extinction. The fire engulfed them, and for a moment, Zander felt nothing but searing heat. Then, darkness. When he opened his eyes again, he was in a sterile white room, the soft beep of medical equipment filling the air. A familiar face swam into view. Welcome back to the land of the living, Colonel General Ironside said, a tired smile on his face. You and your team cut it pretty damn close. Zander tried to sit up, wincing at the pain. The operation, did it work? Ironside's smile widened. Like a charm. The HFY fleet is in full retreat. Seems they didn't sign up for a war against a species crazy enough to set their own planet on fire. Zander let out a relieved laugh, which quickly turned into a cough. So what now, sir? The general's expression turned serious. Now, Colonel, we rebuild. It won't be easy. The surface is. Well, it's going to take time to recover, but we're alive and we're free. Thanks to you and every other brave soul who was willing to sacrifice everything. Zander nodded, a fierce pride welling up in his chest. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, forced to resort to unthinkable measures. But they had survived. They had won. As he drifted back to sleep, Zander's last thought was of the future. A future hard won and paid for in fire and blood, but a future that was undeniably, unequivocally human.